Very true, and we are the most diverse country in the world. And so when the various persons come from around the world to see that, it shows that it's possible, that you can live next door to someone, not always agree with them, but you can get along. And I think the international student exchange, I didn't realize the real importance of that, to attempt to share and show just by living your routine every day to others how democracy really can work.
Yeah. There's a story I always like to tell about Elvis Presley, who I actually saw a film of his life, and he had just arrived in Germany in his army uniform, and he said in this film, what we do here will reflect on how people think of Americans and what we value. And I never had thought of Elvis Presley as a citizen diplomat before I saw that film, but he actually grasped this idea that everybody has a responsibility, whether you're a student at the University of Texas in Austin sitting next to a foreign student, whether you're a mayor receiving international visitors, mayors from around the world on the State Department's International Visitor Program, if you're a performer, if you're a business person negotiating a deal. The way you act and the way you present yourself reflects on Uncle Sam. And you are either by your actions increasing respect for the United States or decreasing it. And I think building that consciousness in all of our citizens is what we're about as an organization, and fortunately many others are as well.
Have you seen the role become more impacting or less? Because we've had such changes in our country, and I wonder if you can detect that through the visitors.
Well, I think there's a tremendous excitement about what's going on in the United States now. I think I had an email shortly after Inauguration Day from a friend who was with a group of people in Kurdistan, and he was at a restaurant, and it was during the inauguration, and he talked about how when President-elect Obama came up to the podium, everybody from the kitchen and all the patrons stood up and watched it, and many had tears in their eyes, and it was just, I think we do have a window of opportunity to really turn around some of the anti-Americanism that's there, and we really, I think in some ways, all of the electronic communication, if it can be supplemented with face-to-face interaction, that's all to the best, because I think we all still have a hunger for first-hand sources, first-hand exposure. And so I think to the extent our country can invest in public diplomacy and bring more exchange program participants, whether it's the professionals we're talking about in the International Visitor Program, whether it's more Fulbright students, whether it's sending more Americans abroad, and we really need to do that. Considering the size of our population and the role we play in the world, we have very few people studying abroad. So we've got lots of work to do, but I think it's an atmosphere that's open in a way it hasn't been for a while.
Are we involving a lot of our young people now in the program?
We do involve a lot of our young people, and in fact, we're getting ready to celebrate our 50th anniversary, and one of the initiatives is the successor generation. How do we bring more people into this kind of work? The best way is to have them have that aha moment, interacting with an international visitor, hosting a foreign student, just really having that excitement that comes with that learning that can only happen when two people are talking with each other, and you suddenly realize why something you knew about a country made sense in a way that you just hadn't grasped before because of knowing that person who really is a personal ambassador for their country.
We talk about globalism now, and I wonder if has the International Visitors Program, you feel, have an effect on globalism, or have we had to change in anything that we do because of it?
Well, I think we're becoming better at using various electronic means of communication and digital social networking. Our State Department is doing that. I think individual organizations are doing that. There's a lot of interactive work going on. There's a wonderful organization called ePals where literally via their computers in classrooms, students do joint projects with students in a classroom half a world away. So I think when I think about globalization, I think of better access in terms of communication, easier travel. Of course, all this is now set in the context of our global economic crises. But I think on balance, globalization really means that it's even more important for individual citizens to be involved, shaping, in our case as Americans, U.S. foreign relations, as our members put it, one handshake at a time.
Well, I have a couple of email friends from Iraq, women who are in leadership positions now. And I really enjoy getting them because they send sometimes articles that they disagree with, that they want to clarify, and sometimes it's just a greeting and holiday greetings and that sort of thing. But it's been very interesting to see they have been very focused for the most part on their freedom and democracy, and very, very openly tell us, or tell me on these emails what they think that was inappropriate or what they think is appropriate. So I've learned a lot with that. And one of the ones that keep in closer touch was in exile here until after the fall of Saddam Hussein, and she has gone back. She's in elective office now, and is trying very hard to make sure that things kind of settle down and people learn to get along with each other.
Well, Congresswoman Johnson, I think you have a Women's Peace Initiative, don't you? Could you just share a little bit about that?
Yes, it's. I have connected with women around the world. It's probably 50-some countries now, with a curriculum that was developed really in The Hague and that came through the UN, of teaching people to respect differences, to have anger management, being tolerant when people are different. And as I have traveled, I have talked with women in leadership roles and tried to get them to adopt this curriculum so that it can be integrated into almost any program. It can be a public schools or any school or a program after school. I tried very hard in this country, several places, to get it adopted. And it wasn't adopted, but the girls' clubs now use that technique of teaching as they live every day, is to be thoughtful about being kind, being tolerant, and respecting differences. And that has helped, I think, a lot. And I think that's the only way peace is ever going to come in the world. And the only goal is to build a culture of peace in the world, that problems can be solved without war and without fighting. And differences should be and could be tolerated, because without sharing of differences, we won't make much progress.
Yeah. I think our members would certainly agree with you across the country. And you mentioned The Hague earlier, and I was saying that we have this alumnus from the International Visitor Program who actually covers our presidential election campaigns. He's a Dutch expert on the American presidency, and is often the person on Dutch television interpreting our presidential election. And he was here 10 times this year covering our presidential elections.